Hi everyone, back again. The two English teachers talking about the one quote to try and support you with AO2. Again, this is a common quote that people talk about, very famous quote, as we said in a previous thing. The thing is to do is to not try and find rare quotes, is to find the good quotes and then just say that little bit extra about them. So today we're going to look at hard and sharp as flint, which is a description from stave 1 of Scrooge, right at the start of the novella when it's first introduced.
Okay, so we're going to start with the adjective hard. Some possible different interpretations of that adjective. So the first one is that hard can mean difficult to do, understand, or answer. And I think this is Dickens trying to tell us that actually Scrooge is really quite extreme, and that we as a reader should find him really difficult to understand. We shouldn't be able to comprehend why he chooses to behave the way he does, because it's clearly so wrong. Hard could also link to the idea of having problems and difficulties, and that's particularly linking to the idea of not having enough money. We were facing hard times, could often be about financial concerns. And I think this links to Scrooge's childhood and what we see in stave 2, that actually in a lot of his life he did struggle financially, and not having money became a real fear of his. And I think that's linking to that idea of hardness that we see at the beginning. And then lastly, it's something that's solid or stiff and difficult to bend or break. And we definitely see that Scrooge in stave 1 is really difficult to bend. He's really rigid. His ideas are fixed and he's not changing them for anything. Throughout stave 1, we see him visited or interacting with multiple different people, Fred and the portly gentleman, with Bob, and he refuses to change his mind, even though what they're saying is very logical and valid.
And this idea of the hardness and it being such a dominating characteristic of Scrooge at the start is linked to an early quotation in stave 2, where as soon as Scrooge sees his younger self, Dickens points out that every noise he hears, every sight he sees, everything he sees at the school, nothing but falls upon the heart with a softening influence and gave a freer passage to his tears. And it's just a reminder of that hard and sharp as flint negative quality that Scrooge had, and it shows the importance that he loses that hardness, and it's that first sign that we see him begin to change. Okay, we're now going to talk about the other adjective. It's described as sharp. Do I need to... There you go. So sharpness has connotations of pain. Flint is something that can cut, and Scrooge is someone who can cause pain to others. He's sharp-tongued. That means if you think about the way he talks to Fred, the way he talks to the the portly gentleman, charity collectors, he's very sharp-tongued. He hurts people with his words, and he does so deliberately to keep them at a distance. He's got physical sharpness. There's angular features, a long nose, a pointed chin, and again, this is linking to his features represent his personality at that point, his nastiness, I suppose. And finally, sharp has another meaning. If you describe someone as being sharp, you say that they're intelligent. And Scrooge does have intelligence. He is a successful man from humble beginnings, and he's used his intelligence to get that far. He's also quite perceptive, and we see that as the novel progresses.
Okay, so moving on to the idea of the flint. So he's compared to flint, and flint is just a form of stone. It's a mineral quartz, and it's really, really hard, and that's the thing that we're going to be focusing on. So there's multiple different things to say about the fact that Dickens chooses to compare Scrooge to this flint, this hard substance.
Okay, another thing about flint is it's associated with being cold. It's a very cold stone. Those who play Minecraft will know you find it underground. And this links to how he's emotionally very cold. He has no warmth at the start. And the second part of the quote is from which no fire had been struck. And this coldness actually contrasts with the warmth we see in Scrooge later on.
I also think in stave 1, one of the things that we often see about Scrooge is that he's associated with cold. He carries his own temperature about him. He doesn't warm the office. We've got the idea that he is blue-lipped. All these things that link us to cold, and we've got that because it's trying to remind us. Dickens is trying to remind us of the connection between Marley and Scrooge. So at the start of the novel, obviously we were told that Marley's dead, and through this repeated use of language around coldness that's associated with Scrooge, I think Dickens wants us to realise that Scrooge is metaphorically dead. He's wasting his life. He might as well be dead. Not just that he's the same as Marley, but that he's actually thrown his life away, and he might as well just be dead if he's going to live like this. We've also got the idea that flint is hard, and that links to that. The adjective is hard, but it's fixed. It doesn't move, and it's a rigid thing, just in the sense that it seems in Stave 1 that Scrooge is absolutely fixed in his beliefs, and we don't see any real chance or any real likelihood that he's going to change.
Yeah. Next one, those Minecraft players from when you were in Key Stage 2, maybe Key Stage 3, you'll remember that flint and steel, flint can be used to create fire. Dickens does refer to this himself, but it shows that potential of Scrooge to share warmth and to create warmth. We know that fire is used as a symbol throughout Christmas Carol for that idea of love, for that idea of the Christmas spirit and the togetherness, and we'll look at that in another video. But he has got that potential to create the fire, but flint needs to be struck. That's why in Minecraft you need that flint and steel. It needs to go through an ordeal to create the fire, and that could foreshadow that for Scrooge to be able to create that warmth for the people, he needs to be tested. He needs to be pushed, and that's what Marley and the ghosts do throughout the novella. They make him experience difficult things he doesn't want to see, things he doesn't want to experience, and that experience allows him to become the good person he becomes.
Okay, another thing. So Ebenezer as a name is actually two Hebrew words. So the idea of him being like stone is linking to this character name. Remember, character name is where we are saying that a character's name gives us an indication of what they are like or what they're going to be like in the book. And I think Ebenezer is a brilliant example of a character name, because at the start, he is like that stone. He is fixed, he is rigid, he's cold, he's unbending, he's all of those qualities of stone. And then towards the end, he becomes the help for people around him, for society more broadly. And so it's a really, really nice little link to his name, that we've got that real foreshadowing that he's going to change through the character name itself. Okay, final point then. We know that the Victorians aren't using flint. They don't need flint to create fire. They don't need flint for light. They're not creating fire in that way. And so I think what Dickens is trying to show us by comparing Scrooge to flint is that actually it's linking to cavemen, because they were the ones who would have used flint to create weapons or start fires. And therefore we've got this idea that actually those beliefs, Scrooge's beliefs, and those like him, it's incredibly outdated. Dickens thinks that Victorians are better than that. They're more civilised than that. They've moved beyond these really kind of archaic prehistoric beliefs. And so we've got the sense that almost Dickens is saying, if you share his beliefs, you're outdated too, and therefore it's encouraging readers who kind of empathise with some of Scrooge's ideas to change their ways, because it's outdated and the Victorians are better than that now.